pizza to family and friends. Right now, for each $25 Milano's gift card you buy, you'll get $5 more free.
Homestead Feed and Supply is proud to introduce a new product line straight from Texas. Stock Show Secret Products and Flex Appeal. Make your project look the best. Only available at Homestead Feed and Supply. New Carlisle. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Winter is here, and Rob's Beer Barn is stocked with seasonal refreshments and holiday beers. And they're going fast, just in time for your favorite sporting events. Rob's Beer Barn also has you covered for your holiday plans. At Rob's, you'll find all the ice-cold refreshments you'll need. Craft, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wine, snacks, and ice. Plus, Rob's Beer Barn has apparel. For last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stock up today. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian Ribble Road at Darst, just a mile east of the green. Rob's Beer Barn, just look for the beaver.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Chicken is here, has some lunch, so I'm sure you're riding in the car right now at work. Hey, they do DoorDash or go pick you up some chicken. Real good. You have a good lunch. That starts your week off. That's what I'm doing right now. But actually, I'm talking to you. I was in between bites. Phone number to call here is 937-518-1410. One more time, 937-518-1410. You hit me on Twitter also. KAB41. Well, here we are, another week of sports, and another week the Buckeyes haven't played. Do y'all, like me, do y'all having withdrawal symptoms? I mean, we haven't played, going on 3 weeks now? Because my Saturdays aren't right. I don't get to see my Buckeyes. But I know January 1 is coming, and it's the Rose Bowl, and then we'll go down memory lane, and it'll be nostalgia. Like, the Buckeyes are playing in the Rose Bowl again. Just doesn't have the same ring as it used to, before the college football playoffs and the BCS and all that stuff. But nonetheless, the Rose Bowl is still something to look forward to, as a Buckeye fan. Well, you had some postponements. I was going to say cancellations, but postponements last week in the NFL. It says here it is Monday, and I'm supposed to be talking about all the good things that the Ohio football teams did. I just mentioned the Buckeyes didn't play because we're at bowl practices right now. The Cincinnati Bengals played. They got their W, so we're 1-0. And the Cleveland Browns did not play. They didn't get an opportunity because of COVID protocols, but they're going to play today at 5 o'clock. So we got a doubleheader. We got 2 games on Monday night. And they said, it's not Monday night. It's games at 5 o'clock. Well, it'll be dark by 5:30. So we're calling, they get a bonus Monday night football game today. The Cleveland Browns against the Las Vegas Raiders. I just can't believe I said Las Vegas Raiders because it's so many times usually be messing that up, calling the Oakland Raiders, Los Angeles Raiders. So the Las Vegas Raiders today. That would be a game, to watch and see if the Browns can make their push toward the playoffs. Right now, we're going into yesterday. Everybody, for the most part, it was 16 teams in the AFC. 13 controlled their destiny, have a chance to make the playoffs. But yesterday happened. But the Bengals, they got their win. They control their destiny. They got 3 games to go. They had a big win yesterday, over the Denver Broncos. You said, "Wait, Keith, you calling it a big win over Denver?" Huh? Yes, all wins in the NFL are big. Just like all losses are big. You hate to lose, you love to win. The Bengals won yesterday, 15-10, over the Denver Broncos. I know people are calling in and thinking about, oh man, that wasn't pretty. Joe Burrow's numbers wasn't this, that, and the other. We don't care about numbers this time of the year. All you care about is W's and L's. W's and L's. You look at the numbers during the off season. and say, well, how could we improve? What do we do right? What are we doing wrong? But right now, you're in the midst of a playoff run. And the Bengals, it's been a few years since they've got to this part of December. Here it is, Christmas this Saturday. And we're talking about the Bengals in a positive light, talking about the Bengals trying to make the playoffs. If the playoffs ended today, they would be, the 4 seed, Justin, if I'm not mistaken? They would be the 4 seed. And that's a good thing. This time last year, and a couple of years ago, we were talking about this time of year, where's the Bengals going to draft? Are they going to protect their number 1 draft pick? I mean, the first pick of the draft, they're going to be picking early and often. But nobody's even talking about the draft in the Cincinnati Bengals right now. They're talking about playoffs. Yeah, playoffs. Yeah, we're talking about playoffs. And, how are the Bengals, going to get there? I'm talking about numbers. And I always say, numbers tell half the story. They don't tell the whole story. Look at Joe Burrow's numbers yesterday. 15 of 22, 157 yards, and 1 big touchdown pass. It's maybe not the sexiest numbers, but when he threw the ball 22 times, completed 15 of them, that's pretty accurate. That's pretty, and that's moving the chains. And 157 yards. I'm okay with that, guys. I really am. Why am I okay with it? Because you look at the scoreboard. Bengals won. That is the bottom line. You rather for Joe Burrow to throw for 350 yards and they lose? So give Joe a break. They won the football game. Look at Jamar Chase's numbers. He didn't have big numbers. 1 catch for three yards. But if you watch the game, he had a big catch called back, a holding call. But guys, I'm not going to get overhyped. Getting all upset. The Bengals won. That's all you want to do. They're at a point of the season going into yesterday's game. The season can go either way. Teeter-totter. Either way. There was 7-6 with 4 games to play. They lose all 4 of those games. That's not good. They're 7-10. And you talk about what a bad season the Bengals had. Start off with so much promise. But they won yesterday. They improved their record to 8-6, and they got a chance to win these last 3 games, and see how that could change, their fortune. The Bengals end up 11-6. That would be awesome if you're a Bengal fan. Awesome, you're in the playoffs, so you control your destiny. If you're a Broncos fan, they're still not out of it. They're 7-7. When they need help these last 3 games. But I hate scoreboard watching. I hated it as a player. And if you're a Cincinnati Bengal fan, you should hate it also. But right now, you don't have to worry about scoreboard watching. All you got to do is go out there and win. Now, the Cleveland Browns, they play tonight. They're sitting right where the Cincinnati Bengals are. What are they going to do about it? Are they going to make a difference tonight, in their game, where they don't have to scoreboard watch? And, nothing be better for me than for the Bengals and Browns, to play against each other. Don't they play last game of the season, Justin? The Bengals and the Browns, they play last game of the season, and that'd be for the AFC North. That'd be awesome. Awesome for that to happen. But only way that can happen, they both have to just continue to win. Just continue to win. And Cleveland, I know Baker catches a lot of flack, but I always say, I always say a lot, but I do always say a lot of things a lot. Quarterbacks and head coaches get way too much credit when teams win and too much blame when they lose. But that's what they signed up for. They know that going in. If Joe Burrows would have put up the numbers he put yesterday and the Bengals lost, people would be really screaming, man, Joe's got to play better. Joe's got to play better. No, football is the greatest team sport there is. Teams need to play better. As teams play better, everyone gets, will get credit. There's just those 2 guys, those 2 individuals, the head coach and the quarterback is going to get more credit. And they're going to get more blame, when things like that, happen. But also I want to take a break for a second and mention, I was talking about, football over the weekend. Ohio State didn't play, the Bengals and the Browns. But bowl season is upon us. and it hasn't hit in full bloom. This week, bowl games were amp up, and next week, oh my gosh, you won't be able to bat an eye without watching a bowl game. But it was a bowl game yesterday on Saturday afternoon, the Celebration Bowl, in Atlanta between two HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, in case somebody wanted to know what HBCU stood for, between Jackson State and South Carolina State. It was a really, really good game, for about three quarters, and then South Carolina State, they turned on the afterburners and they beat Jackson State. That's, everybody knows Deion Sanders, is the head coach of Jackson State, and he's brought a lot of attention, and rightfully so, in media, to HBCUs. Well, not enough, but quite a bit. But I'd be remiss if I don't mention it, that needs more of a spotlight. And I mean, Jackson State, great university. They produced, more than their fair share of NFL talent, as well as all HBCUs. If you think I'm exaggerating, just take a trip to the Canton, Ohio, and go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame and see all the historically black college players that are in the Canton Hall of Fame. The Pro Football Hall of Fame, it's not just about the Power 5 schools. It's not just about the mid-majors. It's about all college football. All college football needs to, be embraced, with the same, ideal. Everybody, Ohio State only allowed at the most bring in 25 kids. Same with all Power 5. At the most, depends on how many scholarships they have available, but they can't exceed 25. So they can't, get everybody. And there's a lot of talent out there, which leads me to last week. Also was National Signing Day, where they one of two National Signing Days for high school football players, fall athletes. Jackson State signed, and I say this in air quotes, the number one prospect at a high school and a defensive back. And everybody was, oh my gosh, why did he go there? Why did he go to that? Why didn't he come to the, one of the Power 5 colleges? What kind of message is that sending? Why is everyone upset that the kid chose to go to HBCU? That's my question. Why is that a problem? He chose to go. There's nothing wrong with HBCU. It's good enough for Walter Payton. Good enough for Jerry Rice, good enough for Steve McNair, and I'm only mentioning a few names, just a few. John Stallworth, Alabama A&M. Now the list goes on and on and on. I can't even begin to mention all the HBCUs. Justin, you want to say something?
Do you think? I mean, and this is how, like, if he would have picked a MAC school or a smaller school, do you think it's an HBCU issue? Or just a smaller school in general issue? Like, I think what people are like, let's say Miami of Ohio took the number 2 player in the country away from Florida State. I'm not saying you're wrong by any means, but I still think you would hear a lot of those same things. Like, why would you go to is it just because you're choosing to make your path more difficult to get to the pros as opposed to going somewhere where there's more? And this isn't a shot at HBCUs. It just kind of is the reality. Right. But to be fair, HBCU issues are the same, not the same, but there are a lot of similar issues as some smaller MAC schools and other schools. Or even if you went to Dayton. Let's say you went to go play at Dayton. Would you think you'd get a lot of similar reaction, I guess, because a lot of the stuff I'm hearing, and you're probably hearing different, is, well, don't have as many resources. The facilities aren't as good. The medical's not as good. The level of talent you're going to go up against and play with is going to, shrink your shine in regards to how many people take a look. Even though you're right, Trey Lance and others who have played at smaller schools, maybe not HBCU, but smaller schools have found a path to get there. But they're saying Trey Lance, if he played at a bigger school, he wouldn't have to be sitting out this entire year because he would be a lot more further along with his skill set. There's always combative ways to come at this, but do you think that a lot of the negative feedback you're hearing about his choice to go to an HBCU, is it HBCU related, or is it going to a smaller school related, if that makes sense?
Well, I think it's both, and that's a really good question. I think it's HBCU. It's both, but a bigger of it because it was an HBCU. Yeah. Because now, and because it's HBCU, that means a lot more of the African-American talent is going to start matriculating back to the HBCUs. When I say back, because people say, what do you mean back? Because that's where they started.
That's where it's, yes.
Outside of, there used to be a quota system up north, how many African Americans you can have on the field or even have on your team. And then down south, there was no quota system. It was zero. There didn't want any black players in the whole Southeastern Conference, Alabama, Mississippi State, all those schools, and in Texas. So that's opening up a whole nother, ball of wax, that I don't necessarily want to get into today. But prior to, I've had this conversation over and over, major universities up north, and talk about Ohio State. Ohio State is not always, but since the 40s, it had diversity on their rosters. So we've had, black player. I mean, Bill Willis, the first black All-American. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Ohio State's Hall of Fame. I had the pleasure to, to meet him a few times, over the years before he died. So Ohio State has a long history, as opposed to Alabama, who has a short history. One of my former teammates in the pros, Randall Cunningham, his brother played at USC, and they went down to Alabama in the 70s and wore them out, and that was an Oedipus to help Bear Bryant say, hey, we got to get some of those. That story's been told a whole lot of different ways, but the real answer was, when he said those, it means some of those African-American players, otherwise we're never going to compete anymore. That day is over with. Because Sam Bear Cunningham went down to Tuscaloosa and put it on them. So Alabama started bringing in African-American athletes after that, and they've never looked back. And I'm not trying to live in the past or anything like that, but it ought to be more of a, just like University of Dayton said, they always fighting for publicity. The MAC conference is always, fighting for publicity. But, and they've had Ben Roethlisberger's MAC quarterback, Chad Pennington, Byron Leftwich, all come out of the MAC.
But we've been talking about like the Bearcats, for instance, the whole push of, well, they shouldn't be in the playoff. They don't play anybody. They don't have the same caliber as athletes as the Ohio State, Alabama. So
Randy Moss.
we categorize, and when I say we, I just mean the general
media.
But people in general that crack these mics all across the country that spew that out. It's based on that. It was Doug Gottlieb with CBS Sports or Fox Sports. I don't know what his affiliation is, but he had tweeted out that, about the HBCU school itself, that why would he go there with not a lot of resources, competition. And then it turned into, he came back and on his radio show and said, he goes, just because we're talking about an HBCU school doesn't mean I am labeling them based on race. He goes, everyone I talk to about HBCUs talk about the lack of funding, the lack of resources, the lack of, facilities. He goes, but then when I use that same reasoning for why I don't think it's as smart for a high caliber athlete to risk to put roadblocks in front of him to getting to where he ultimately wants to go. Now he's being called every, racist name in the book, and that's what he had a problem with. I'm not defending.
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't.
But
take
I
that
understand
as
where he's.
That would be
coming,
wrong to call him racist. So
but on Twitter, you know what I mean. Like, you got to be careful on Twitter and how you voice your opinion on stuff, because it's up to the perception of everyone out there that reads your tweets, and that's what ultimately happened to him. When Kevin and I talked about this on our show, Kevin's like, "That's why you just don't tweet it. Just don't even put it out there. When there's no room for context or anything, you're setting yourself up for failure, and that's what happened." But that's why I'd asked you, and you can carry on. But that's why I'd asked you.
No, but you make a really good point, because facilities and access is all a part of why you choose to go to a college.
We got mad at Joey Bosa. I think it was Joey, or it was Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa had that injury against TCU or whatever it was his last year at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
And Ohio State has some of the best medical facilities in the country. They have some of the best facilities in the country. And he said, well, I gotta leave the team. I'm going to drop out of class. I'm going to go live with my brother Joey in San Diego at the time, because, that's where I feel comfortable training and making sure I get healed up correctly. You have every medical facility in the world.
You mentioned medical doctor.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying that is like, that's
a cop-out.
Yeah.
Basically. It's just like you're going to get inadequate care at HBCU if you have a sprained ankle.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have whirlpools there. They don't have trainers there. It's just that at the Power 5 schools, they just have more. And they have more of access, and money is best spent. I mean, I was at Ohio State last week, and I took some of my friends over to the Woody Hayes athletic facility, where the football players train. And their faces, they were like, "Oh man, I wish I was younger. I wish I was better. I could have went here." It's awesome, and I like the facilities are part of why you go to a college. The Woody Hayes wasn't even built when I was in college. They implemented the plans my junior year, said it'd be ready in about 3 years. Like, I'll be gone. So I never got to experience it. And over the years, since when I think it opened in 87 or 88, they have went through so many transformations of that building. And, you visit in 2 more years, you won't recognize it this year. And they're already talking about spending another $65 million in that facility. It's just awesome. So when you're a 17, 18-year-old, recruit, and you come into a facility like that, that's going to like move the needle and wow. And then you go to an HBCU. Central State for a minute. Just like he went to Jackson State, say if he went to Central State, it's not even a close difference in facilities at Central State and Ohio State, Central State and Cincinnati. And I'm not bashing Central State. They just simply don't have it, the finances and everything else to go with all. And I had a conversation the other day with Ryan Shazier's father and Vernon Shazier. We were talking about facilities and things, and I said, I'm upset with the NFL taking Thursday night, away from the colleges. They already have Monday Night Football. They already have Sunday football. Why did the NFL need Thursday night? It went from Thursday night opening up the NFL season to one game. They're going to, they already dominate Sunday. They already dominate Monday. Why they need a third day? That's just greed. You got 3 of the 7 days out of the week dedicated now, at night, to the NFL. All day Sunday and Monday night and Thursday night. Like, wow, why? What was Thursday night prior to the NFL gangster in it? That was the night where the mid-majors could play. You could go see, Miami and Bowling Green on a Thursday night, Buffalo and, whoever on a Thursday night. And we used to watch some Cincinnati played on a few of those Thursday night games. Those were some really good college football games to watch on a Thursday night prior to Friday night high school, Saturday college, Sunday pros, Sunday Monday pros. Because now, and the part of my conversation I was having was Jackson State, MAC conference, whatever. If you ever, but let's just specifically talk about the HBCUs. If they even, they need a television contract. They do, but where are you going to fit them in on Saturday? Where would you fit them in? Thursday would have been a great night for ESPN or Fox or not Fox and ABC. They got their network program, but for one of the cable stations to capture that audience on a Thursday night where you're not going against the NFL. That would have been a great night for the HBCU night or whatever you want to call it, or college night. Instead of let college have 2 nights, Thursday night and Saturday night, instead of NFL taking 3 nights, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night, as well as all day Sunday. That's just greed. And who's going to, if HBCUs get a television contract, and they deserve one, what network would it be on? FS2, FS1, ESPN 5?
Yeah,
it's
ESPN
not
jumping in and just putting it on the streaming service on the ESPN Plus. But who's to say that they're not already out there, to be honest, because I think
but I want it on my regular cable. I want to be able to watch it at 3 o'clock, 3:30. You just can't. You got 12 o'clock game, Fox. You got the Big Ten network at 12. The big, the big game, Fox Sports, the Big Ten conference game at 12. Between them and the Big 12. The SEC with CBS, they have the 3:30 game. Then the ESPN has that, or the ABC or CBS has a Saturday night game. So it's already, our Saturdays during the regular season already jam-packed of football from 12 till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night on the Saturday. What network is going to dedicate that to the MAC conference, to the HBCUs, to the Cincinnati, American, the AAC? Then you got Notre Dame being an independent. They're just with CBS. I mean, with NBC, they got a network. So it's not a lot of money left or with resources left for you to dedicate something to the smaller colleges. So you're telling them, well, just go ahead and compete and get better. Man, that's easy to say. We'll go start your own network. Even more money. I don't know how much money the Jackson State and South Carolina State got for playing in the Celebration Bowl, but I know it's nowhere near about the amount of money that teams get when you play in the Big Ten Conference, the SEC, the ACC, and those conferences have revenue sharing, and I'm sure the MEAC and the SWAC, Southwestern Africa, those they have revenue sharing too, but it's only one little pie, and there's not a lot of slices in it. Whereas whoever represents the Big Ten, like Ohio State is representing the Big Ten in the Rose Bowl. All bowl games. That is a split. I don't know if it's 100% equal split amongst all 14 member institutions, but it's pretty darn close to that. The participating teams, they get more exposure, but when you get down to that bottom line dollar, correct? I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. Big Ten, how many teams they got in bowl games this year? I think 7 or 8.
I don't have the number off the top of my head,
but it's at least 8 teams that are more than half. That's one big huge pot, and they will all split that money equally.
Even the teams that aren't in bowl.
The teams that aren't in bowl games. That's how they have the health of the conference. You go back to the Big Ten Network when it started. The first year it came in a being, they were prepared to take a loss, but they did not lose money. And every team in the Big Ten Conference, when it was 12 teams, I think it was 12 teams at the time, they got $22 million a team. And that's when everybody's like, whoa, we need to get some of that. That's when Texas started their network. I know I'm kind of going on for a second, but it's all about money. It's always, follow the money when in doubt. So the Big Ten has always been a standard bearer, and people always, one of the reasons why they hate the Big Ten is because the Big Ten have always been about, inclusion. Ohio State doesn't look down on Indiana or Illinois or anybody else like that. We have our differences. We go out and play, but when it comes to the business part of it, the Big Ten is, far and above, all the other conferences out there. And, they said together, we can all look good. So Indiana had a bad year this year. They were like 2 in 2021. But they're going to still receive money to build upgrade their facilities, and continue to grow. Ohio State has more donors. Penn State has more donors than Rutgers or Maryland, but they still do pretty good. They do well. So HBCUs, you got a ways to go, but hopefully it's a start. It is a start, as far as, those guys getting attention back to where it used to be. And it really goes back to the NFL and everyone else. Stop being lazy. Get out there and do your homework and scout more and more people. That's what it goes back to. I know we're coming up on a break, but after the break, I want to talk a little bit about the transfer portal. I'm still going to get into analytics and how that's killing the game. And before I wrap up, I'm going to talk about the job of Ohio State's head football coach, Ryan Day. I think he's doing a tremendous job, but you have to open yourself up for criticisms and applause, and good deeds. So I'll just tell you what I feel Ryan Day is doing coming to the end of his 3rd year tenure, going into this 4th year next year. You're listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
Some people think fall is the best time of the year. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Body Shop Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. Our technicians have over 125 years of total experience. That means we can repair your vehicle correctly and efficiently. So when you need a dependable body shop, we're here. And we repair all makes and models with new state-of-the-art equipment to get you back on the road quickly. Plus, we offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Stop by and see us. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, State Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
In college football, Goodyear knows a new season means new possibilities, where every Saturday is an opportunity on the road to greatness. No matter if you're out there playing your hardest or cheering the loudest from the sidelines, tailgating in the parking lot, or your favorite spot to watch the game, Goodyear knows passion is what drives us forward all the way to the playoffs. That's the road that moves us. Goodyear, more driven.
Progressive Motorcycle presents Road Wisdom from the Motor. Half man, half motorcycle. To find your balance, keep riding. And if you stop, put your feet down so you don't fall. Progressive Motorcycle also presents Roadside Assistance. Progressive Motorcycle, for those who were born to ride. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
The law offices of Lake Maceland will fight for you. Call 444-4444. Want more fight? More attention? More compensation? We've recovered millions in auto and injury cases. We don't know what your case is worth until you call. One more call, 444-4444-4444. Lake Maceland.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This holiday season, give the gift of Craftsman tools at Lowe's. With a heritage of performance and reliability, Craftsman is the perfect gift for the project people on your list. There's something for every builder, fixer, and creator you know. Choose from power tools, outdoor power equipment, mechanics tools, tool storage, and more. Shop in-store, online, or through our app, because there are more ways to holiday at Lowe's. And a gift from Lowe's is a gift that leads to more. U.S. only.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or we'll replace them. We're talking natural cut, skin-on fries, perfectly seasoned with a hint of sea salt. In fact, they're even preferred almost 2-to-1 over McDonald's. These are fries so hot and crispy, they beg a new question.
What would you like with your fries?
Try them today, only at Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, taste preference based on a national taste test by an independent research company.
If you're looking to satisfy those comfort food cravings, we've got just what you're looking for. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, homestyle happens here with our 12-piece strips meal for only $32.99. Warm up with a big helping of homestyle. Enjoy 12 all-white meat, golden brown breast strips, 3 large freshly prepared sides, and 6 fluffy biscuits. It's the family meal everyone will love. Get a homestyle meal made easy with our 12-piece strips meal for only $32.99. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Some people think fall is the best time of the year. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on The Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
I'm back. I'm all the way up, like the song says, even though they don't say it. If y'all know the song, y'all know that means I'm all the way up. Okay, I'm back. Keith Byars here, 937-518-1410 is the phone number to call if you want to call with your questions, comments, or concerns. You listen to the Keith Byars radio show. You can hit me on Twitter also at KAB41. Before the break, you know, I said I was going to talk about a couple of different subjects. One of them being the job that Ryan Day is doing, you know, and the transfer portal. I mean, and Ryan Day and Dabo Swinney and a few other coaches came out last week talking about the transfer portal, naming NIL, naming image and likeness, and all that stuff. And it says really changing the landscape, you know, of how you recruit and the players and stuff like that. You know, and I even said it last year when it started to begin getting popular. I said, well, not only do you got to recruit your athletes, but you got to keep recruiting them once you have them. You know, you got to be in those meeting rooms, you know, continually, you know, to recruit, because the reality of it, they can leave. And it's a whole new world of that. And you just have to adjust. That's part. Nobody said your job was going to be easy. That's part of the job. And I like what Ryan Day said, you got to bring in your type of people, you know, that you really, that fits. That's part of, you know, the thing that, you know, a guy that, you know, when you make a decision where to go to school, and I've always said that, you know, for a long time, the two biggest decisions that you make in your life that will stick with you the rest of your life, one way or shape or other, you will always be connected to those two biggest decisions. And my friend and colleague and producer is about to make one of those decisions: who you marry. You know, who you marry, he's going to get married in the spring, but